Hello, everybody. My name is Alex. Welcome to our podcast about Game of Thrones. There's Caitlin, my girlfriend, my fiance even. Fiance.
Not yet girlfriend.
My fiance. Yeah, we're gonna talk about episode 3 of season 7 of Game of Thrones. So we've done 2 episodes, very well received episodes of this already, this podcast, and
hundreds of people have watched, hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of people. We're definitely not doing for just ourselves.
Definitely not.
In those episodes, we've mostly just discussed what we've seen and what we've liked. I don't even know if it was necessarily my idea, but the reason I like this format, I can tell that it probably wasn't my idea.
Yeah, I feel like you're taking a lot of credit for this.
Well, I said I didn't know, but
yeah, you said you didn't know, but you kind of took it anyway.
One of the things I really liked on SourceFed Nerd, I think it was their just kind of discussion of the episode. It wasn't really like eye-opening, but it was just nice to see how other people felt about particular moments in the episode. Yeah, so that's kind of what we decided to do mostly with the first 2 episodes, and we want to do the same with this one. But this week we read some interesting theories. Kaylin probably read most of them, but I heard.
Yeah, I definitely read way more than you.
For sure. And so we figured, why not, talk about those as well, because they were interesting. We've already discussed them a little bit and decided to discuss them a bit more now.
Well, I mean, you say discuss them, I mean, we've mentioned them to each other.
Right.
Because that seems like this is all scripted and it's really not. Prepare for a fight.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we're going to start putting this stuff in the titles to clickbait people into watching our vids, listening to our podcast. But if we do, then you probably have read that the first theory that we'd like to discuss is the one where Cersei, and probably Jaime too then.
Yeah, I mean, they're twins. That doesn't work any other way.
Right, fair enough. I knew that. Our Targaryen.
No, you didn't.
Our Targaryen.
So do you want me to say where this came from?
Yeah, Caitlin, take it away.
So since I'm British and I totally watched Thronecast, they were discussing Thronecast Cersei's mad moment, and Christian Nairn, who plays Hodor, I think that's his name, not entirely sure, is talking about this with the host and the guests, and comes out with the line, yeah, she's just like her dad, meaning the Mad King. So he's kind of potentially dropped a really, really massive spoiler that Jon isn't the only secret Targaryen in this, and that Cersei and, twinning has to be Jaime too, are secret Targaryens. So it's kind of blown up a little bit.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
So, well, what I think, when I heard this, I actually got really excited because I'm not sure, because obviously I'm not well read into a Game of Thrones, the book series and stuff, Song of Ice and Fire.
I mean, but that's also like kind of a good thing.
Sure,
because that gives like a pure show perspective. So I'm curious. Right,
but so I got really excited because if this turns out to be true, and I feel like it's just as likely or more likely not to be true. But if something like this turns out to be true, it would be a huge shock. But at the same time, I would trust George enough to have put hints in there.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, even though most of us, or none of us, because I never really read anything about this, saw this coming, I'm sure it doesn't actually come out of absolutely nothing. So I'm sure there are little things, if, again, this turns out to be true, that makes you think like, oh, you know what, that actually makes a lot of sense now, or that saying, or that, or that. Obviously, one of the big things that doesn't make much sense is the fact that they're blonde, and that's how Ned figured out what was happening with the Baratheons.
Yeah, but their mother would still be a Lannister.
Oh, that's true. So then it would
because
still make sense.
They were second cousins, something like that. Something
Right.
not as incesty as the Targaryens, but still incest.
And to be fair, the Targaryens are also mostly blonde, aren't they?
They have white hair, but I would imagine that white hair is recessive to blonde.
Right. So I that might make sense still. But anyway, I think I would be really excited about this because like what is it? L plus R equals J?
Ish.
Isn't it?
R plus L equals J.
Oh, all right. Sorry, wrong order. That
Yeah, bitch.
is a theory that I obviously read about. I didn't know about this because of the show. Like me watching the show definitely didn't make me aware of this. But it was such a commonly held belief out there, and it was so very obviously going to happen based on the books at least. And you know, I never thought that meant that it wasn't good writing, just because people pick up on your hints. Like, I mean, he's been writing this book series for what, 20 years now?
Yeah, I think it's kind of almost at 30.
Right. So anyway, if it's been this long, and especially with the, you know, fora popping up on online forums, it's not that weird that people, you know, discuss this and that they come to similar conclusions.
Like link their ideas together.
Exactly. So I was never bothered by the fact that so many people knew this, but at the same time, yeah, because so many people knew this, when you finally saw it happen in the show, and when you finally see it confirmed in the books, you know, read that it's confirmed, it's not going to be like, you know, the shock that he may have hoped it would be.
Yeah, it's not groundbreaking.
Right, which is fine. And again, that doesn't mean that it's not good writing, but that's why the potential prospect of a theory that hardly anyone saw coming, that to me is very exciting. And I have to say, I feel like it would fit in the theme of this season, because at so many turns I thought that I knew how this would go, and I figured it would be pretty formulaic from this point on. Just because I figured, you know what, the real battle isn't King's Landing.
Yeah.
So I really thought that it would be a relatively easy win for Daenerys, and then we would just see her be more victorious and more epic than ever. And although it would still be relatively formulaic, that's how you say it, right?
No idea.
Right. It would,
your beer's hitting.
it would still be I don't know, part of a formula. I don't know how to say it. I think it's a word. Anyway, it would still be part of that sort of standard hero story where you know you first have defeats and then you triumph in the end. So I'm not saying it would be any less of a, you know, based on traditional storytelling, but I'm just saying for now, I am surprised constantly by what's happening. And so this theory would be another huge surprise, and in that sense, I'm very excited about it. I'm skeptical as hell because I don't know why he would even know this, because he obviously isn't in this season. But I don't know. Sorry, he who said this, Hodor, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know what you think. Like, I don't know if you've got any
yeah, we'll have some insight.
Like insight that would make this seem more probable or less, or
yeah, I have plenty. So I'm trying to remember what wedding it is. It was Tyrion and Sansa, where they tried to like all take her back to their to all take Sansa to Tyrion's bed to essentially watch them fuck.
Yeah,
that is a tradition that wasn't only upheld by the Mad King, But he also had a thing for Joanna, which I think you should probably know.
Yeah.
I think that's been mentioned in the book, in the TV show. So apparently, on Tywin and Joanna's wedding night, she fucked the Mad King.
Okay.
And it's kind of hinted to that she also fucked him on different occasions.
Right.
So to me, that's not as much of a revelation as probably to you.
Wait.
But like, what?
Oh, so that is actually their mother fucking with the
That's
Mad
their
King.
mother fucking the Mad King. But the
Oh.
thing that I thought was going to happen as a book reader is something that's missed out in the show is that Tyrion has 2 different coloured eyes in the book. He has one of the Lannister eyes, and he has one eye that's black, that's deformed.
Yeah.
And what I thought was going to happen was because he killed Joanna, Tywin always called him as bastard. He's deformed, and we know there's a long line of deformities in the Targaryen line, and we saw that with Daenerys, where her baby was born with like scales and shit, which we didn't see in the show, but was definitely told in the book. I figured that it was more likely that Tyrion was going to be a hidden Targaryen, because that one deformed eye could have been lavender coloured.
Right. Yeah.
Which would have been like a dead set giveaway to the fact that like he's a Targaryen, but we didn't also know if he was born with that or if that was something that was inflicted on him. So to me, like, if you have a bastard, you know that he's a bastard, and you think, shit, he's got a purple eye, people are going to know that he's a bastard, you would damage that eye. Like, if that's going to be the dead set giveaway...
Oh, you talked about this, yeah.
Then, to me, he was more of the obvious bastard. Because he has the Targaryen deformity, he has this strangely deformed eye, and she died in childbirth, and there's a pretty high mortality rate.
Right.
And the Targaryen line. So to me, that made more sense. But I guess Jaime and Cersei, that's kind of like a hide behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess it does work. You mean.
Yeah. So like, I've heard this before, and that would, while still would they like that would surprise me, but obviously a little less because I've heard this as well. I've read this as well.
Because like he would be the third head of the dragons, kind of the whole idea.
But I do really see what you mean, because like, yeah, sure, if we can imagine that one of the Lannister children
is a bastard,
then you know it's not 3. It's not like so much of a coincidence that it's 3. It's like 2 births. It's like 2 separate.
Because that's the kind of hard thing though, is that if it's the twins, then the whole Jon being a secret Targaryen is kind of not special anymore.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I think that would make me so much more excited, because we've waited for this theory to be confirmed for so long. And how great would it be, and how much like George R.R. Martin would it be if he then shat on all of us, essentially, on all of our theories, and was like...
It'd be very him.
Right, like, because that's kind of what he did with like Ned. You follow Ned, at least in the series.
Damn, this guy's so important. You do in the book as well.
I mean, he is very important, clearly, but like you follow him, and it's like
this guy's got like plot armor.
That's my guy. Like, that is the person we looked at. That was the hero of this epic, and he was like, "Fuck you guys, he's dead."
You want to see his head roll? I can make it happen.
Right, and so. That obviously has constantly happened time and time again, where you feel like this has to happen and it doesn't. And like that's why this theory, like, you know, obviously if we do want to clickbait people, then this would be the perfect theory to talk about, because it is very clickbait and like, huh? But it also honestly excites me very much about the prospect of the show, where like, yeah, maybe George is that great of a writer that he at every turn is one step ahead of nearly everyone. So yeah, and like you said, I mean, I think the fact that Tyrion is relatively likely, well, I mean, again, relatively, like emphasis on relatively likely a Targaryen, or more likely than anyone else, I suppose, that I don't think hurts this potential theory. I think it actually helps it, if anything. Because if she can cheat on Tywin once, she can have done it before.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing to look at is that I think at some point it's the point is made that twins were conceived relatively soon after the wedding. Like,
Yeah.
don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure that was made relatively clear, and I think that was to cause this ambiguity. But, like, when you think about it, the whole reason that people think that Tyrion is because then he would be the third head of the dragon.
Yeah.
So, like, probably Viserion, because I would imagine that the one that's going to bond with Jon's going to be Rhaegal, who's named after Rhaegar's dad. I would assume that's how that's going to go. So there's only one dragon left.
Oh,
But
so that's kind of what
if
people
it's Cersei,
Yeah.
then Cersei can control a dragon. Which could be very troublesome for Dany's secret weapon.
Oh, you also think
Because
that...
I'm not sure how willing a dragon would be to kill a Targaryen.
But you also think it's part of, like, being a Targaryen that you can potentially control a dragon. Like, you think that's...
Yeah.
All right. Could be. I don't know.
But we still have that moment in the caves where we see Tyrion interact with the dragon, and the dragon seemed to understand him.
Right, so you think that could potentially mean that there's no one left? Like,
Yeah,
no dragons left?
To me, that means that it's Tyrion's already.
Or, even more awesome, Jon could obviously still be a Targaryen, but just like, what's his name, Viserys? No, was it?
With Dany's brother.
Dany's brother?
Yeah, Viserys.
It could just be like that. That would also, again, be like one of those moments where George would just royally fuck us over, and I would gladly let him do it. All right, that sounds a bit weird.
I feel like
where
Jon's gotten off too many times to not be a dragon.
Right, but it could also not be the case. And again, like...
Yeah, because if it's the twins, he's got two other heads there.
That, or
Potential
it could just,
heads.
or just could be one of... Yeah, it could just be one of them. So, I don't know. I think that's very interesting. And it probably was just a slip of the tongue, and it probably
I think he's just got them confused in his head. I think he's probably talking about Dany.
We're talking about Hodor now, or the guy playing Hodor.
Christian Nairn.
Christian
I'm going to call him that, but I'm pretty sure that's not his name.
Nairn?
Nairn, like Cairn, but with an N.
All right.
Yeah, don't mock me. My family's Irish. What are you going to
do? So yeah, I mean, we'll see how all of this unfolds, and
probably to nothing.
There's like, obviously there's a huge chance that none of this will be anything. But also,
but
like,
put it this way: Hodor was still alive. Hodor would be dead right now. He would be written off in the next season.
What?
If Hodor was still alive right now, they'd be writing him off for the next season for him slipping that, even if it's not true.
Yeah. No, so yeah, I think it's very interesting, and I'm not saying I'm hoping this is true per se. Like, I'm not, I'm really enjoying the course this episode's taken, this series taking. So, I'm down with whatever. I'm definitely trusting the showrunners and George to deliver. I'm definitely open to this. I suppose is what I'm saying. I could see this happen, and I can't see me being mad about this. I'm very prepared to be shocked.
Yeah.
Just like I was in this episode, to be honest.
I've spent a lot of this episode with oh my god, what the fuck is happening face on.
It's a bit of a bad segue, I suppose, but now's as good a time as any to talk a little bit more about what happened in the episode. And one of the moments where I was really shocked at what happened was the fight about what's the rock called again?
Casterly Rock.
Casterly Rock. Yeah, that honestly surprised me so much. We obviously last episode we saw Dany suffer a relatively big defeat with her.
Relatively, they wiped out two of her allies.
Yeah, I mean, it was a massive one, honestly. It was two of their allies. It was a huge fleet of ships. It was a huge part in their tactic. And yeah, that was a huge blow. And so I was so certain that this was going to work, especially with that narration of Tyrion. I thought that was great.
And his Hodor.
And his Hodor, yeah. I mean, that was, it made so much sense, and it was like a callback to something that Thingy had said. What's his face? Give me 10 good men, I can impregnate the bitch or something.
You've lost me.
When he's talking about like infiltrating the Castle Rock, he says something like, "Give me 10 good men, and I'll impregnate the bit or bitch, or I'll penetrate the bitch." It's his one friend who said that.
His one friend.
Tyrion says, like, as a good friend said, "Give me 10 good men, and I'll impregnate the bitch."
Oh, Bronn maybe.
Bronn, right? Bronn.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a little bit far gone. Like, we're recording this at 20 to 11. I'm like half a bottle of Prosecco in.
Right.
I don't remember his name at the best of times.
Right. Bronn. Yeah. Anyway, like I said, I thought that was a great callback to that. And I thought in general, it the music worked. It seemed relatively beautiful as far as war scenes go. And it seemed like such a sure victory for Dany. And to be honest, it was like, they got Castle Rock.
Yeah, they got Castle Rock, but it just wasn't the victory they were expecting.
And then I think Euron's fleet came in to burn their ships that they came on.
Yeah, he essentially stranded them.
Which means that they're stranded and they have to walk through Westeros, which, it's going to be a massive problem. And Jaime, obviously, in the meantime, which is something I didn't expect to be in the episode, I guess that also helps. Like, I'm constantly thrown by how long and how many things happen, how long these episodes are and how many things happen in them.
Yeah.
Because after this happened, I figured this is the end of the episode. Like,
yeah, I thought we were done.
We get Castle Rock and that's it. And then, fuck no, we're also going to the Tyrells, right?
Yep.
Highgarden. And that was another, like, the show just completely threw me for a loop.
Yep. And I love that scene. Like, honestly, like, the Queen of Thorns has been my favourite character in Game of Thrones since she was introduced, really. Like, the minute we got that sassy old bitch who, like, honestly could have been Scottish because, like, the things she came out with, I was just like, bitch, yes, that is the typical, like, sitting on a bus in Scotland listening to an old granny bitch. That is Elena Tyrell.
Right.
So, like, automatically I just felt like this, like, weird kinship with her. I was like, yeah, man, you're the sort of person I want to be friends with.
But I think a lot of people did, because she was also just really funny
and
sure. Witty.
Yeah. She won a lot of people's hearts, but, like, that's how I felt connected to her.
Yeah.
I also really love Marjorie.
Right.
And I love the whole, like, our men are fucking stupid, so us girls got to do it for ourselves. I like that.
I think I just really like that family as a whole, because also
Mace was a moron.
The little gay brother was also pretty funny to me.
Loras,
yeah.
Yeah, I liked him and Renly, but that's kind of not what we're talking about.
No, but I'm just saying.
I think we get enough lesbians in Game of Thrones.
Right.
Need a little bit of the gay there, so I enjoyed Renly and Loras. That was nice.
But yeah, your point being.
So I was really glad that she got the death that I kind of wanted for her, because I knew she was going to go. From the minute they wiped out Tyrell, I was like, this bitch has her days numbered.
Yeah. But I also think it's good, because I actually, as much as I enjoyed her throughout the series, this season, without her grandchildren, she's not been that interesting.
Yeah, because she's not got any power, really. That's the problem.
Yeah,
her power games were fun when she had an influence, but she doesn't really have an influence anymore.
Exactly. She didn't have that much influence, and she was really, like, I mean, obviously Dany also noted this, that she's really there just kind of for revenge, which is...
Yeah, like, she's there to put a spanner in the works of everything.
Right, it was obvious, and it makes sense to anyone I watching, I suppose, but... it wasn't like the interesting, witty character that we knew from back when.
Yeah,
and
she got dark.
Yeah, and so I think it was a good moment for her to die, but
she kind of bowed out.
Yeah,
which was nice.
Well, that's. I think you were leading up to the point where she's pretty much like, oh, thanks for being nice to me, Jamie, but guess what? Killed your fucking son.
What I love is that she's like, this isn't going to cause pain, right? She treks with him like 3 times, like, this is going to be painless. I'm not going to die in a bad way. In the minute he's like, no, definitely not. This is going to be, you're not going to feel anything. She chugs the fucking wine. She's like
wine,
downing that shit. And then she's like, oh, by the way, killed your son, milked the fucker. What you going to do?
Not just what you're going to do, also just like...
Tell Cersei, need her to know.
Tell your sister. I thought that was great.
And the fact that she straight up called him out and called him his father. I like that. That was really quite subtle. Yeah, she said it must have been hard to watch as the member of the Kingsguard Guard and as a father.
Right,
I thought that was really nice because Jamie didn't deny it.
No, I mean,
and
obviously.
I think this is one of the first times we've seen him like own it in front of somebody with Cersei and nobody's around.
Right.
Where he's just like, fuck it, she knows, who cares?
No, but yeah, I totally agree. I think also this was such a great end because, like I said, she was out for revenge, and she wasn't nearly as witty or as on edge, but like in a good way, like ready for anything, as she had been. And then this happened, and you saw that spark. Like, she was witty again, and she was like,
my time's up, so I'm just going to go for it.
She was so fucking like harsh, but like in such a great way. And it was just a really, like, it was really, I mean, it was kind of hard to see because I think most of us by now care quite a bit
an
about...
emotional attachment.
No, but more about Jamie even. I think most of us care about Jamie because he's redeemed himself in many occasions. Like, he's still a bit of a dick, and like obviously when you watch episode 1 again, you're not a fan because obviously he's the reason that Bran's such an emo now. But
before we move on to Bran, I've got something to say.
Right, no, yeah, but I was just finishing up.
You can finish what you're saying.
Saying that, like, that's obviously a bit harsh for Jamie, and it sucks that he's in the crossfire. But it's so, like, no one likes Cersei, I don't think, right now. And so it was just so nice to see her pretty much shit on her from such a distance in such a dire situation where she's on the brink of death. And she's like, oh, you know what? I can get a tiny bit of revenge. Here's a little information nugget. Fuck you.
A tiny bit. I think in how we're seeing Cersei right now, she got the ultimate revenge. Because Cersei right now is also set on revenge, and she's never going to get that with Elena. Because she cannot kill it again.
Oh, that's actually very interesting.
So she's got like the ultimate revenge by taking the revenge away.
Oh, that's actually...
It's
I didn't
fucking incredible.
I didn't even think about that. Because if you look
I think she planned it.
If you look at how Cersei responded to Sand Snakey bitch, what's her name?
Illyria.
For killing her daughter and the revenge she wanted, that was nuts. She went completely ballistic. And so I think...
you've taken this conversation where I wanted to go.
Oh, yeah. No, I think you're right. Because, like...
she's played the ultimate power move here, where she's like, you want revenge on everybody that's wronged you. You're literally torturing the shit out of the woman that killed your daughter. You've just given me an easy death, and guess what? I killed your son.
That's so interesting.
But it also is like, and Tyrion didn't, so you're against your brother for almost nothing.
Also, well, I mean, at this stage, he's
I mean,
killed her
now
dad.
He's done more, but like the reason that was
very true.
Happened, the things that led to that was her blaming him for Joffrey's death.
So essentially, she's just
she sought revenge on the wrong person, and then let the person who she should have been seeking revenge for.
You're right. Like, essentially, Elena has been like, you know what? Everything that's happened to you that was so fucking devastating is pretty much because of me, and you just showed me a tiny bit of weakness by letting me die a peaceful death. Yeah, fuck you.
You showed me mercy, and I've taken it.
That's I didn't even think about that. It's so satisfying.
Yeah, everything about that was the deeper you dig with that death scene,
great.
The more satisfied you feel that she's like won this little mini battle.
It's, I mean, like you said, it doesn't seem so little anymore. Like, I'm sure in the series,
it was a definite power play.
I think in the series it will probably not play a huge role. I'm not even sure if we'll actually see Jaime tell Cersei.
Oh, we will see. We'll see him tell her 100%.
All right.
I think but all we'll probably see is like an anguished cry or an angry face or something. We won't see anything come of it, I don't think.
But I do think you're very, very right. Like if you think about the sort of, I don't know, the cosmic justice of this all. I don't know how to say it. It's so juicy, and especially in the episode where she's gone so absolutely fucking revenge hungry and mad with the opportunity that, like, I mean, that was one of the most like torturous I mean, obviously we've seen some rapes, and rape is very horrible, but this is I mean, this is worse than rape, surely. I don't want to downplay rape, but this is torture on another level.
Yeah.
This is brutal, and Cersei's fucking, I mean, that's obviously kind of interesting because that is like the Mad King in a way. I mean, it seems like...
Yeah, that's where I'm going with this.
Right, and
I've got a little bit to talk about like that, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you're completely right. I didn't even think about this, but that, like, how she's played this...
It's very Tyrell. It's very like, I will go in the roundabout, not peaceful way, but like the least, not violent, but the least army-driven way.
Yeah.
I will win this fight.
I mean...
It's very manipulative.
Yeah. Obviously, this wasn't the revenge that Elena wanted. This isn't how she planned this going. But I didn't even think about, like, how beautiful this plays out, in a way.
But, like, if you think about it even further than that, if... for some reason, Illyria Sand had died before Cersei could get her, what would she have turned to? Her daughters. She can't do that with Elena because she's already killed all of her family.
Yeah.
Because she obliterated most of them in the Sept. And then she's killed the rest of them, taken Highgarden. So literally, the last point of revenge that she could have had for that family was Elena, who she's just given the most peaceful death of any character in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So it's just beautiful. Beautiful irony. And to kind of segue a little bit.
Yeah.
Elena makes some very nice points that I guess they tie into the Cersei's a Targaryen thing. So, I mean, we can kind of loop back a little bit. But more that Cersei's the Mad Queen. She says that she at this point has done anything she could to protect her family and that she was a manipulative cow. And that's how we know her. We know her as the ultimate manipulator. She's a chess player in this.
Yeah,
where everybody else swings swords, Elena Tyrell was a chess player.
Yeah.
She liked to plan ahead and see how everything was going to move. And she said, but I still can't believe some of the stuff that Cersei's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's mad to me. And I would have done anything to protect my family. And I couldn't have imagined doing these things. And then she goes on to say, and Joffrey was a little cunt. And if you think about it, if Jaime and Cersei are both Targaryen, then they're 50-50 Targaryen, 50-50 Lannister. Joffrey is going to be 50-50 Targaryen, 50-50 Lannister, and he was also mad as fuck. He's going to be carrying Targaryen genes because it's incest. So that madness in Joffrey could also have come from the Targaryen line. So it was nice to have that little slip of, and your son was a mad cunt as well. That was nice. I really enjoyed that.
That's actually pretty interesting. I didn't even think about how that could tie into a relatively flimsy theory. And again, like I do want to point out that neither one of us is like...
I don't believe it's going to happen.
I don't think either one of us does. And I mean, it's good to mention that before, we get burned at the stake. Yeah,
I don't think it's going to happen. But it feeds into the Mad Queen theory.
Yeah, exactly.
So if we take it, we can take it any level we want. But it was nice to see that the one leader that we've seen that has actually been smart enough to see people's manipulations while they're happening is saying, like, dude, you're batshit crazy. Like, what is wrong with you? So that was kind of nice to see and be like, yeah, and it passed to your son, so what the fuck?
Yeah.
Good teaching lesson there.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously...
One minute. Yeah?
I'm going to nip up and get Mum.
Okay, doc.
She phones out, are you sleeping? Aye. Sleeping.
Twat. Enjoy. See you later. Yeah, that's kind of mad. Like, it works on so many levels.
Yeah.
So many levels.
Yeah.
And I think we needed Elena to point that out.
Yeah, I think it's crazy that that I mean, this is kind of what I meant. Like, these are the kind of little hints that, in hindsight, if this theory turns out to be true, where
You're going to be like, George totally planted this.
yeah, where Cersei does turn out to be a Targaryen potentially, then these are the little things where, like, because I didn't even think about how batshit nuts she's become. Obviously, we all hated Joffrey with a passion, and yeah, I mean, if you believe the stories about the Mad King, he was getting there. Like, he was getting there.
Yeah, because the Mad King, apparently, like, this is something that I got from, I think, the last Harpy, or maybe Alt Shift X, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The Mad King started to go mad in his teens. Like, he took the throne before he was Jon's age, I think.
Right.
So, and he was already going mad at that point. So he went mad at a really young age, which means in the male line, it could be that they go mental way quicker.
But also...
And we saw Joffrey as a relatively young teenager.
Exactly, that's...
Who was off his fucking rocker.
He was nuts. Like, as he got into power, he became a little bit older, and he became so much worse. Like, he was a cunt, for sure, but he was starting to become...
He was going mad.
He was going mad with power, and
I'm not sure if that's a Lannister trait. Or it's definitely, I mean, not that it matters, but I don't think it's a Baratheon trait either.
That probably doesn't matter, but yeah, I mean,
Interesting food for thought.
If we're going by that, like, if you look at Tywin, let's put it that way, and look at how...
Yeah, he was very cold-hearted.
Calm and
he wasn't mad.
Exactly, he's very calm, collected, cold-hearted too, but, you know, the last thing he is mad. The last thing.
Yeah, and he's too cunning and manipulative to be mad. He's more of an Olenna than he is a Mad King.
I don't know, dude. This, to me, seems so interesting, because, like, the other thing is as well that, like, we all ascribe this to their incest. Like, surely this has gone wrong because he's an incestuous cunt. But what if he just got the 2 parts of Targaryen as opposed to the 2 parts of Lannister?
Yeah, what if his Targaryen overrid the Lannister? Because it could happen.
Yeah, I mean, if you
need 2 recessive genes to make it work.
Well, if you've got
you inherit them from both your parents.
Exactly. If you've got 50-50, then that means that he could be 100% Lannister. Well, I mean, 100% relative, but, like, I'm comparing it to Tommen. Like, because Tommen was actually pretty calm and collected.
Yeah, Tommen could have had one of the Lannister crazy genes and one of the Targaryen, and it cancelled out. And then Joffrey could have got both of the Targaryen genes.
Right, that's kind
of he's fucked because we don't see it in Jaime, and he can only have one Targaryen gene.
I mean, that's kind of what I mean. And so
like, basic genetics says that, like, that would make sense.
It could make sense. It could fit quite well, and that's I don't know. To me, again, like, I feel like it's so unlikely to be the case. But
dude, even genetically, this is perfect.
But if this turns out to be a slip of the tongue based on the actual direction the show's taking, this could first of all lead to such interesting storylines, like you said, with the dragon maybe not wanting to attack another Targaryen. But it also makes so much. Well, yeah, no, it does. It makes quite a bit of sense of what's happened in the past. And it makes sense why Cersei's going mad, which is something we could talk about, which I want to talk about, because holy shit, that revenge.
Like, damn, like, I actually, like, I hate the sand snakes. It's been, like, no secret between the two of us that I thought it was so dumb.
Honestly, it's
Dorne in the books was incredible. Like, I felt like I was being transported into some sort of fucking Harry Potter land.
Yeah.
Where everything was so, like, wonderful and vibrant and, like, different, because the rest of the book's so gloomy and, like, shit.
Right.
And then you go to this place and everything's vibrant and beautiful, and I could understand in the show why Marcella loved it, why Marcella wanted to stay in Dorne. I could understand it, but I couldn't from the show.
Right, no, that's what I mean. Like, it's not a secret between us, it's not a secret between anyone.
It's not a secret in the community, yeah.
Everyone hates the way Dorne's been portrayed. So everyone's happy.
It's depressing.
Yeah, it is. And everyone's happy that their storylines come to an end.
Gone. Yeah.
But I don't think too many people...
What a way to do it.
Like, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people who think that even this is, like, too much.
Me included.
Because I hated them.
If you look back, like, this is something that I've brought up to you and you really didn't disagree with. I feel like she has gone way beyond the point of revenge.
Oh, she has.
She's sick in the head.
Yeah.
because when Marcella died, we had this kind of like monologue from Cersei that when her mother died, that she was terrified because all she could see was her mother's face falling in on itself.
Right.
Then she's like, so now when I know that my daughter's dead, all I can see is her beautiful face turned to bone and ash.
Right.
And what does she do? That's like her greatest nightmare in life, is that her kid's doing that and that she would ever have to witness that.
Yeah.
So what does she do to Illyria? She sticks her in a situation where she's going to kill her in the same way she killed her daughter, and then she's going to have to watch her worst nightmare unfold, where she's going to watch her daughter turn to bone and ash. She's literally laid that out as her biggest nightmare in life that would ever be given to her.
Yeah.
And she's literally bestowed it on her enemy, which to me is just a new level of fucked up. That's very Mad King.
I mean, yeah, you know, like, obviously I didn't know about that was one of her worst fears, but also without that knowledge, it's such a messed up thing.
It's just fucked up.
It's such a messed up thing to do, and you know, I mean, we've already tied it to the theory, but it just really shocked me, and whether it is or isn't because of her potential Targaryen blood, it's very clear that no matter the reason, she is going mad with power.
Yeah.
And she's taking things too far, and she's also putting too much effort into these type of things, because I don't know, to me it seemed like it was almost suggested that the mountain was pretty much to just kind of be there at most times to just make sure that she watches often enough at her daughter dying. And that seems like a waste of resource. And I mean, maybe it turns out that he's not actually going to be there all the time, and he will be at her side again. Yeah. But it just seems like she is wasting a lot of... I mean, even just... what's his name? Qyburn?
Yeah, Qyburn.
Even using him to find out what poison was used, that already seems like, you know, sure,
a waste of resource.
Kill them good. But, you know, do you have to put in this type of effort? You could have made a better bow, or like weapon. What do you call it a bow
against
still when
dragon.
It's like a huge thing?
No, but I can't remember what you call it.
A harpoon?
Definitely not. But yeah, that seems like a waste of time.
Right.
But the other thing with Illyria and Tyene is that quite a few times this season, which honestly I hadn't noticed too much, is that they brought up the death of Ned's dad and brother, the original Brandon and Rickon.
Right.
It's been brought up a few times.
Oh, really?
And yeah, I noticed watching back, there's perfect parallels between the way that the Mad King killed them and the way that Cersei's killing Tyene.
Oh.
Because what happened, from what I read in the book and what I can remember, because this was like quite a while ago that I read this, is that the dad was strung up above like a fire in his full set of armour so that he would essentially like cook alive.
Right.
And the brother was chained up to a wall with like a choke collar on and a sword just out of reach. So what happened was that he could have cut his dad down with that sword. So he strangled himself trying to get to the sword, and then the dad killed himself anyway. And then you see that parallel of them just being out of reach.
Oh.
Also with Illyria and Tyene.
So it could be like a little book, a hint for the book readers.
Yeah, it's a little hint of what's going to happen. She's going mad. She's doing exactly what he did. And that apparently was one of the tipping points for Jaime as well. That's one of the points where he thought, nah, this is too much. Like, obviously it ended with the wildfire. We know that, and they burned them all.
Yeah.
But we know that this was like a definite stepping stone on the way to him getting rid of the Mad King. So I think this is also like a stepping stone towards the Valonqar prophecy, which I thought was a nice little drop it a couple of times.
What prophecy?
That your joy will turn to ashes in your mouth, which all of her children are dead, so they have turned to ashes. Yeah. And your lifeline when the Valonqar wraps his fingers around your neck or some shit, or the Valonqar chokes the life from you.
Okay.
Which Valonqar's High Valyrian for a little brother or sister.
Oh. Okay.
Because High Valyrian's genderless.
Right.
So people were kind of like, could this be any little brother or sister or what? But Cersei's like 5 minutes older than Jaime.
So it could be either Jaime
so
or
I think
Tyrion.
it's going to be Jaime. I don't think it's Tyrion.
It's
So
interesting.
that was a nice little parallel to draw. I like that.
Because obviously, we saw Jaime with Elena defending her, even though Elena rightfully pointed out, and I think Jaime recognized that she's
going too far.
Yeah, that she was going too far, and he was like, you know what? I suppose you're right, essentially, but it won't matter soon enough because we'll win. Which I can understand. Like,
when people win, how are people going to care how he gets there?
Yeah, I can understand that because, like, obviously, once she's stopped being this nuts, then she'll just have a kingdom that is relatively peaceful to rule and no one to revenge. So I can see where he's coming from.
I think the point where it's going to change for Jaime
just a second. What I think is very interesting is what you said. I just wanted to go there. Yeah. That he probably doesn't know about her type of revenge right now. I'm not saying that this is necessarily the point where he decides, okay, this is Mad King levels, I have to put an end to this. But it is very interesting that this, I already thought it was going to happen the beginning of this season just based on what happened to Tommen. But what you're saying right now, if it's true that Jaime then and there with the Mad King decided, like, this is going too far, this is nuts. I think
this is a lot of energy to put into just killing someone.
And I think if he finds out about
Illyria and Tyne.
Cersei doing this, given his comments already to Elena, I'm not saying that this is the moment where he decides I need to kill Cersei, but it could definitely be a big fucking eye opener that he's like, oh shit, is this the Mad King all over?
It's going to be another little block on top of his pile of shit, what's happening.
Right.
But I think where he's going to, like, from what he said to Elena, I think the problem is that until she wins, he's not going to realise that there's never going to be enough revenge for her. Because me looking in, I think that even if she kills all of her enemies and she wins the Iron Throne, she's still mad.
Right,
she's still going to continue this shit.
Exactly.
This isn't something that's going to go away when she feels like she's fulfilled her prophecy, and I think Jaime needs to see that.
But that's kind of what I mean, because obviously the Mad King wasn't just doing this to his enemies anymore. At some point, he was starting
doing it to his friends,
to his friends, and to his followers, and that's kind of what I mean. Like, obviously, these people are still enemies. But if, again, like, that's why I think the parallel is potentially so interesting. If Jaime saw that the Mad King was turning into the Mad King, kind of before he was the Mad King, I don't know if it was before, but, like, killing your enemies and torturing them, even though it's harsh, is somewhat to be expected to a degree. And not to this degree, but to a degree. But the fact that he already saw it then, because it was just so mad, I think it's very interesting, because, he
might see it again.
He might see it again, and or at least start to suspect, like, oh fuck, where the fuck is this going? And I just think that's super interesting and something I'm really looking forward to, because I still very much would like Jaime to be the one to kill Cersei, as like the ultimate redeemal.
Because the whole of Game of Thrones is very Shakespearean, and a very common theme in Shakespearean is the whole star-crossed lover thing, where, like, they both have to die.
Oh, where they also,
and I think that could happen.
Right.
Which I think would be a nice little piece of justice to it. But that's kind of probably for another day to discuss.
Sure.
Because I think we've killed the Lannisters at this point. And the only other thing I would really like to speak about is Bran.
I don't.
Well, fucking emo dude.
Right.
I've got some ideas about why that might be happening.
I'm kind of joking, but, like, that part was almost as
so
difficult
dull
to watch as Cersei torturing people, but for such a different reason.
It was as hard to watch as Ramsay getting ripped apart by fucking his own dogs.
It was.
Oh man.
It was a bit dull because he was acting so dull, but, like, it was also nothing like you wanted. And I mean, we've seen him change a little bit, but when did he turn into such a cunt? Well,
that's kind of where I want to go with this.
Right.
We don't know if he's been this much of a cunt in general, or if this is towards Sansa. Because he's the three-eyed raven, he can see the past, so we can only assume that he can see the future.
Right. He didn't say that explicitly, but sure.
No, but it's implied.
Yeah.
Because the three-eyed raven saw Bran coming.
Yeah, so? What's your point?
So, what if he's seen Sansa double cross? And the reason he's being so cold isn't because he's cold, but because it's Sansa and that he's seen that she's going to betray them.
You know, I hate that idea because
I hate it too.
I feel like Sansa. I mean, I just don't think that's Sansa. From what I've seen of Sansa, she has her ideas, but she's nothing if not loyal to the Stark name. Because I feel like so many things of what she said are because she's actually out to be a good Stark, whereas Jon is having his like own agenda that we all agree with, I think, as viewers. But I think what Sansa's arguing for and doing is very justifiable up to this point. So,
well, what if we change it a little bit, and we say that Sansa does something that is very Stark and very honourable, but is going to fuck them over?
You know, I don't...
Because it's not that she's going to double cross him in
Right.
like a way where she's meaning to double cross him, but Bran might see that she's the reason this all falls to shit.
That's fair enough, and I
think it's a fair theory.
I
think that's...
I thought that's where you were going, because I do
No.
think... No, but I mean, I thought... At first, when you were saying this, I thought you were kind of going to a point where maybe Bran's seeing something that he feels like he needs to remedy, either by manipulating her now in this way, by being cold, or maybe he is cold because of something she's done. I don't think she's going to betray the Starks or Jon.
Not purposefully, I don't think.
But
I think she could do something stupid.
It could be that he's being weird for that reason. It could also just be because he is, 13 years old? 15?
Yeah, and is not just going through puberty, he's going through puberty with powers.
He's obviously... I mean, there's no reason why he doesn't go nuts. So... I think it's justifiable that it's so weird, but I was hoping to see Arya when the camera was panning.
Mm. We'll see her tonight, no doubt. We're filming this on Saturday, by the way.
Right. No, I'm sure we'll see her, but what I was trying to say is, like, I was expecting Arya. I was hoping for Arya. And that was Bran, and I was like, fuck yeah, it's Bran. And then Sansa gave him a hug.
And he didn't react. He didn't even flinch towards her.
He didn't react. And it was like, dude, I get...
Still your sister, man.
Yeah, I get what's happening. Like, you obviously feel like you've got such a bigger purpose and you have powers that are so incredible, but fuck, dude, this is not how I want it to be.
Well, I've got another little theory.
Yeah.
That I wholeheartedly do not believe in this one at all.
Right.
But it's out there, and I thought it was relatively interesting to discuss.
Yeah.
So Bran doesn't react to Sansa.
Yeah.
And then when she says, "You're the Lord of Winterfell now," and he says, "I can't be. I'm the Three-Eyed Raven."
Right. Yeah.
And she says to him, like, "Oh, what's that? I don't understand." And he says, "It's too complicated to possibly describe."
Yeah.
It is not that complicated. I can see the future and the past, and I've just succeeded someone.
Yeah.
So clearly there's something that we aren't seeing. So what if what we aren't seeing is that Bran hasn't just become the Three-Eyed Raven, whatever was inside Brendan Rivers, which is the Three-Eyed Raven, the Blood Raven, whatever you want to call him, has now moved into Bran, and that it's not that he's like taken over, but whatever was the Three-Eyed Raven has taken over him.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. So it's like...
So like he's not Bran anymore.
He's hardly
because
Bran.
He might have not even recognised her. That might be why he didn't respond.
Yeah, I mean, or maybe he recognized her, but obviously there's no emotional response if you're not actually...
he's not Bran.
If you're not actually meeting your sister. Because, I mean, if you're not meeting the person who's not your sister.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty interesting. I feel like this, to me, feels like... Obviously, these theories are probably based on as much, if not more, of something than the Cersei's Targaryen theory.
Yeah.
But for some reason, Bran being so standoffish and being kind of weird about like not being able to explain feels much more like writers just not wanting to go into details. and Sansa not benefiting from the knowledge of like I was a successor to someone else, then it feels like a hint to a theory.
That's
Having
how I feel
said
too.
that, the line was really strange because it was so easy to explain. I mean,
would have taken like 2 seconds. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, seeing him succeed someone took like 2 minutes on screen time. So if we can be shown it in such a short amount of time, surely he can tell her in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it
but
was
the other thing
it was a weird line. I do agree with that, and it might be a hint, and I suppose we will find out if it was soon enough.
Yeah. And the other thing, well, I mean, 2 other things kind of come with his name. Because he was Brandon, which is what Bran's short for.
Right.
And the 3-eyed raven before him is Bryndon Rivers. Bryndon.
Right.
So what people think is that this 3-eyed raven thing moves through Brandon's.
Right.
And that Bryndon was close enough, and that's how the 3-eyed raven's moving through the bloodlines, essentially.
Oh, okay. Right.
Which is a bit strange. Don't really agree with it, but that's a theory that's out there that doesn't need too much discussion, I don't think.
No.
But the other one is that the 3-eyed raven that we knew, as in Bryndon Rivers, was Bran. Was old Bran.
Right.
Trying to communicate with his younger self and teach him how to do it. Which I think opens a Pandora's circle of old Bran talking to young Bran, talking to old Bran, talking to young Bran that just can't exist.
You know,
there has to have been a first 3-eyed raven.
I really like that sort of stuff. I really like that time travel-y shit, and
not into it at all.
Okay, well, because one of the things that I was so convinced about was that Bran, for instance, accidentally turned the Mad King mad. Like, I'm sure we've discussed this back when we watched the episodes. But you know how Ned hears Bran say something when he sees him walk up the tower. I thought it was going to be like that. I thought he was going to be like the Lord of Light. I thought he was going to be so many things. And right now, obviously we've not seen a lot of him, but I feel like it's less and less likely that he's responsible for so much.
Yeah.
So I don't want to
attribute all this to him.
Attribute too much to him at this stage, because I'm just getting very skeptical that he's responsible for so much. But the reason I'm saying this is because I was a big fan of the idea that Bran was so many things and was responsible for so many things, and that there was this weird time travel-y stuff that he was affecting people like Hodor and potentially the Mad King, and that he might have seen Varys and all that stuff. And so, to me, what you're saying right now with the Brandons, or maybe with potentially Bran teaching himself in a way, as much as it's like far-fetched, those are the type of things that, especially last season, I was really like excited about. So, maybe, I guess, that's kind of, I would really like it. I just don't know how much time they have to properly explore this sort of stuff. So I don't know how well it'll work if they do.
Yeah.
But it could be the case. And I think there must be a much, much bigger reason that Bran exists, other than, because I don't think he's like Sam. Sam is obviously at the Citadel, but
Sam's a plot device.
He's a great character. He's funny, but like his main, he cured Jorah, which is great because Jorah can get back. He
also told Jon about the dragon glass underneath,
which is great.
Dragonstone.
But it could have been anyone. Like, it's nice that it's Sam, but
it's just nice to tie it up in a wee bundle in one person.
Exactly. But Jon just needed to find out. Jorah just needed to be cured. However that happens, I don't think Sam is that interesting for that, like, as a character. And so I don't think that's what Bran's gonna be. At least I don't hope so. I don't expect Bran to just be there so that we know, and that Jon will eventually know, that he's a Targaryen. I think he must have a bigger role. Yeah. I hope he does. And so the things you're saying now, the theories you're saying now, some of them don't feel as plausible, maybe, as others, but you know, I'm up for it because I want Bran to have a huge role. I want Bran to have something weird going on. I want Bran to be magical. I want him to be another source, just like the dragons were, a source of magic, a source of deity, a source of mystery in the show, in the universe of Game of Thrones.
Well, I have kind of like a thing that the last Harpy posted like not that long ago.
Yeah.
Where it kind of explained why he thinks that Bran didn't cause the Mad King, and that Bran's not really got that much power over what happened in the past.
Right.
Because his idea, which probably isn't his idea, which probably came from a Redditor, so sorry, I'm not like crediting you with this, is that the reason that he messed up Hodor, but didn't mess up Ned, by shouting father, is because he was in the presence of the present day Hodor.
Right.
So Hodor didn't hear Bran saying hold the door, he heard Mira say it. So what was happening is that two different versions of Hodor were getting the same message at the same time.
Yeah.
Which scrambled their brain. And that's how Hodor happened.
Yeah.
So the only reason that happened is because he was connecting with old Hodor, like baby Hodor, while he was standing next to the present day Hodor. And he can't do that with the Mad King because Aegon's dead.
Right.
And he can't do it with Ned because Ned's dead.
Yeah.
So like most of the people where we think, could Bran have had a little hand in that? For like, especially for the like changing things that have happened.
Yeah.
No, he can't have. Not for changing the past, but him changing like the present and the near past, where like Bran's been the three-eyed raven. So like Melisandre seeing things in the fire, the Hound seeing things in the fire.
Yeah.
Could be happening.
Right.
But I don't think he's got that much power over what's happened beyond the point where he's beyond history that's happened while he's not been the three-eyed raven.
Right. I mean,
I think that's all kind of Brendan Rivers stuff. I don't think he's got much control of that. He can just look at it.
I think that's an interesting...
so if anybody fucked up the Mad King, it's probably Brendan Rivers.
I think it's an interesting theory because essentially what you right now and like the people from Reddit or the Last Harpy or whatever are trying to do is kind of like establish where potentially the limits... the rules, what the rules are, where the limits of Bran's power are. And it could very well be that you're right, because obviously the conditions for what happened to Hodor were very specific. So, yeah, you know, you might be totally right. But it's, you know, we don't have a lot of cases to determine that based
compare
on.
them with.
So, I'm not, I mean, it's good to pick up on that, and it could very well be that that's the only reason Hodor happened. And I'm not saying that's... I mean, I am actually kind of saying that I feel like I'm hardly expecting anything from Bran at this stage anymore, just because he's been kind of sidestepped almost this season for now.
Yeah.
And for a large part of any season. Like, we've had so few little moments with him.
We essentially just established his power.
I mean,
and then dumped him again.
So, and then we got like 2 episodes where we got a lot of visions.
And we got Benjen, which was obviously just brought back to be like, not all White Walkers have to be White Walkers.
Exactly, yeah. So, but like...
we're assuming he was cured with dragonglass. I think that's the main theory right now.
Okay. But, so I am actually not that like... I'm not necessarily arguing here for the idea that Brandon is all these things and that Brandon has done all these, or Bran has done all of these things. I'm just saying that's what I really wanted. And so... with you, like the theories that you gave, I'm just hoping some of that is true. I would like some of that to be true.
I'd like an explanation at least before the end of Game of Thrones what Bran can do.
There must be a reason for Bran bigger than Jon, your Targaryen.
I still believe that the three-eyed raven is the Lord of Light. Because according to Brendan Rivers, there's always been a three-eyed raven. Okay. That role has always existed. So to me, that means the Lord of Light has always existed. So to me, there's always been somebody pulling the strings. And we didn't really see much of like the kind of pseudo training that Bran went through. Because so maybe part of that pseudo training was like, and we communicate most of our shit through fire. Sorry, we're the Lord of Light. Spoilers.
Right. Yeah.
So like, I still feel like that's a possibility.
Could be.
But yeah, I feel like
something.
Bran's not as powerful as we might be led to believe.
I suppose we'll really just have to wait and see
Physically
what happens.
powerful.
Yeah, we'll really just have to wait and see what happens next episode.
But I don't know about you, I've managed to avoid most of the spoilers for episode 4.
I've not seen anything. Yeah,
I've seen one thing, but I think it's probably not true.
I don't.
I think it was a clickbait title on YouTube.
Right. I don't feel like we have a reason to discuss that. I think
No.
we'll just have
Shady
to.
that they did it.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. It happens. It's
Yep.
bad on the hackers side of things, but it's also not great that it's apparently possible. It sucks, but I'm sure that most people will watch it anyway. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so am I. I feel like they've set a lot up for this episode.
I think so too. I'm not sure about you, but is there much more that you would like to discuss?
No, I think I mean, there's lots I could discuss, but I think I'm basically done.
Yeah, I think
It's been like an hour, so
one
I
of
should
the
probably
things-
stop.
one of the things that we didn't really get too much of a chance to talk about is obviously how funny the opening was.
Yeah. Comedy gold. Fucking
Right.
slapstick.com.
Yeah, I really like that stuff. I just want to throw that out there because I really appreciate
I hope we get some more lighthearted amongst all of the
exactly.
doom and gloom.
I love Tyrion and Jon together, and Dany works really well in that. Davos is great in this setting. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Long may that live.
Really, really enjoyed that, and I'm looking forward to some more. I'm looking forward to some dragon glass mining. And overall, I just think it was a great episode. It gave us lots to discuss. Yeah.
We're one step closer to Littlefinger's downfall.
I really hope so. I really, really hope so.
That's how I'm counting episodes now, by the way. How many steps closer I am to Littlefinger dying.
I do hope, and I do also believe that it's likely going to be this season. I
Yeah.
really think so. I think
This
he
is where we
has no
find out it was
place.
episode 4.
Would be funny actually. So yeah, I think that's it.
Yep.
Thank you. If anyone is listening, thank you for doing so. We are thoroughly enjoying, taking an hour, maybe a little bit longer, I
Out
don't
of
know,
our lives.
out of our lives to just discuss this show that we really like. So cheers. If you want to start, a conversation with us, feel free to do so in the comments or, Twitter, maybe Instagram, whatever. Just hit us up. That's cool. We like Game of Thrones a lot, so we want to talk about it. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah. So we'll put everything in the down bar
Yeah.
that you need to contact us.
Exactly.
Ish. Minus phone numbers.
Right. Exactly. No. So yeah. Again, I doubt anyone's listening, but cheers if you did. It's great. Leave a comment. Tell us what you thought of the episode. Maybe we should do the shout out next time at the beginning of an episode. Like if someone is still listening at that stage, maybe they'll go.
Yeah, we'll
"Oh."
shout you out in the next episode.
But yeah, like I said, thanks for listening. Have fun tonight or tomorrow if I upload this on Saturday.
Yeah, and whenever you get
and whenever you watch it.
to view the episode.
Exactly. And we'll see you
On the flip side.
on the flippity flip. Right.
Bye.
Bye.